My most enjoyable experience with the ISOC, I mean, I don't think it can be summed up in just one event.
Enjoyable experience at LSE. I'd probably have to say playing for the football club. It wasn't studying, if that's what you're asking.
My most memorable and probably most enjoyable and exciting experience at the LSE was defending the Islamic Society at the UGM in the old theatre.
Yeah, I organised the charity week in, I think, my second year, and yeah, just standing outside tube stations and, you know, being abused by random people outside tube stations was quite memorable. But no, the charity week, all 3 charity weeks were good, really good.
The most memorable experience at LSE?
Committee meetings, I think.
The chap from the Modern Dance Society came up onto the stage dressed as Michael Jackson, did a few twirls and said, if you want to see more of this, then give us more money. Then I stood up and began to introduce the Islamic Society, at which point somebody shouted out, "Why do you need money to pray?"
I mean, the da'wah stall, definitely. I think just the range of people that came, and sometimes they just came to socialize, but then they would start to ask questions.
One of the things that was really defining the ISOC for us at the time was there were a group of people involved, you know, those that had positions on committee, those that didn't, and everybody kind of, you know, got involved in pitching, and that was really the best thing about it.
And that year I was blessed, along with fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, to be part of the Students' Union and get elected as a General Secretary. I think that was something that was amazing, that was different, and was able to achieve.
The most impressive thing, I guess, we did, just for me personally, was getting the new LSE prayer room, which is in Lincoln's Inn. They gave us a list of different options in terms of where we wanted the location to be, and they gave us £10,000 to renovate the place. And what you have today is the result of that.
I remember this one time, it was during Ramadan. That was the time when Ramadan used to actually fall into the calendar, which was an amazing experience for everyone. But there was George W. Bush had come into town, and so I think the brothers had decided that they were going to go and protest out onto the streets during Ramadan at iftar time. And so we had about 150 boxes of like this curry and naan bread, and no one to give it to because everybody was out protesting.
So what do you see the role of LSE Muslim Alumni Network?
One obvious thing is as a way to allow, you know, the Muslim alumni to stay in touch with one another. I think that's something that's a genuinely valuable service. And, you know, for example, I can think of a few people who I've, you know, lost contact with over the years, and I really wish I could, you know, find out now where are they, what are they doing, things like that.
I mean, mashallah, these are people that I would say I still pray for today, and I think that's when you know you've really solidified and have had people who've had an effect on your iman.
Just spending good quality time, getting to know other sisters and their backgrounds.
LSE was really the first time that I encountered a tangible Muslim community. So for me, it was really quite transformational.
The 7th of July happened whilst I was at university, so this was summer of 2005, and I remember it was a really intense period for us, you know, for everyone as Muslims, especially students, obviously across. A lot of the media spotlight was on us, and I was on the FOSIS executive at the time, and I had to go and do a lot of the interviews. So I was on BBC Breakfast News, Sky News 24, BBC News 24, quite a few different radio shows, etc.
Obviously related to that, I'm sure for many there's kind of networking opportunities within there. You know, you'll find out, oh, I'm doing this, you're doing that, why don't we pool our skills together?
Based on the Muslims that I met at LSE, like, mashallah, I mean, I think there's a lot of hope. Because we have people who are very balanced, that they're very serious about their akhir and they're very serious about their dunya.
In my profession, like if I know I need such and such person, I know there's an LSE graduate that I can call up on and say, by the way, can you help me with this? We
can actually contribute a lot more together as a collective to the community than, you know, working on our own in terms of in our own silos.
LSE ISOC by far is the best ISOC in the entire UK. And there is no doubt that you guys are doing a great job and going the right way, so just keep doing what you're doing.
And finally, I guess just opening up the horizons. You know, one of the things, I guess, when you're 20, 21, you know, you finish LSE, you're not necessarily able to take that step back and realise the world is really a lot wider than you imagine.
The current students which can benefit from having a network of people who've been where they are now and actually can help guide them through that process, both as current students and into their future, once they've graduated.
I think to realise that the world is your oyster, and that whatever barriers you put up in front of yourself, it's you putting it up.
Being at LSE and the way that we're taught there, it really broadens your mind. So if you're approached with, different situations, you don't have just one way of thinking. You approach things in many different ways and try and figure out the best option out of all of them.
Well, at the LSE, I met people who I felt were far smarter than me. It humbled me, but at the same time, it made me think big. And it made me realize that if you want to overcome challenges and forces far greater than yourself, then you need to have a very deep faith and trust in Allah, coupled with an indefatigable spirit.
I think I've always imagined that, from LSE and going forward, that I would be part of a community, and a community that was, that was active and engaged with its wider community.
I always remember the LSE ISOC in my du'as, as my family there. So inshallah, everyone's du'as are there. So just keep doing what you're doing, you'll be alright.
مولاي صل وسلم